Yanchi Chimbo to Dening Mechans, only Molam Chimbo, Abjata, Bakardang, and Sandu Hirmado, Tumba Tijang, La Kufia, and Sar Shoman Juja, and Jebodana, Disum Sanji Gunjung, and Ransom Chukung, some Tonza Beds, Avelama, La Kufia, and Sar. Good morning. Okay, first of all, I would like to welcome all of you and thank you for being here for today's teaching and meditation. And again, it's nice to see all of you again. And we have this opportunity to do the Dharma teaching and practice together. And I hope you all doing well. I'm very happy, and it's nice to be here with all of you again. And I hope these teachings will be beneficial, and you will learn something new or beneficial. You will learn something from this teaching, special. And I hope today you're going to, here we spend time together, and I hope you're going to enjoy. So again, thank you very much for coming to this teaching. Now the topic for this teaching is advice for a dying practitioner from Dr. Chinjingme Tambinyama. So I hope you have the text. So you have to take a look. I'm going to teach sort of line by line this teaching. So you need the text, okay? And Dr. Chinjingme Tambinyama, you might not know who he is. He was one of the most important teachers in the Nyingma lineage. And he was born in East Tibet, and he was one of the sons of Denjim Langba. And he was recognized as the reincarnation of the third Dortep Chin by the fourth Dzogchen Rinpoche when he was very, very young. And Denjim Langba, many of you know him, very famous treasure revealer. So Denjim Langba, his father, was considered to be the emanation of what is the name? Chechong Lodzawa in Tibetan, one of the 25 disciples of Pamasambhawa. So Dortep Chin received a lot of teachings from great master such as Pater Rinpoche, Mapam Rinpoche, many others. And he also studied with Njamyang Chinti Wangbo, and many other great masters. And Dortep Chin, he became extremely learned and become a great scholar and become a great master. He wrote very important teachings, advice, and oral instructions, and so on and so forth. And many of his teachings are already translated into English. If you would like to read them, they're available. And especially he wrote a very famous commentary on the Guyagarbha Tantra called The Key to the Treasure Trove. The main sort of tantric teachings of Mahayoga, you know. This commentary, you know, Dalai Lama always talk about his commentaries, and he always said it is the best commentary of Guyagarbha. So he always, you know, say Dortepchen is a very special being. Dortepchen built up the monastery called the Dortepchen Monastery, and he gave teachings on the way of bodhisattvas many, many times, and he gave teachings on the Guyagarbha Tantra that he wrote, and also the root text of Guyagarbha Tantra over 40 times, they said. So he was the third Dortepchen, and the fourth Dortepchen passed away, I think 2-3 years ago, probably you know. But this is the third reincarnation of Dortepchen. Anyway, so now you kind of little bit understand who Dortepchen is, so that you need to know when you study his text. So you need to know who Dortepchen, this is the third, as I said, third Dortepchen. So anyway, today's topic is a teaching from him called Advice for a Dying Practitioner. That's the topic. Now, before, of course, we start this teaching, as usual, it is very important to correct your motivation. Take a moment to generate bodhicitta. And in order to correct your motivation, you need mindfulness. You need equanimity, which means without taking any side. And as you know, without equanimity, there is no such thing as generating bodhicitta. Bodhicitta is only possible when there is a recognition of all sentient beings as equal. So we have to deeply understand that all sentient beings don't want suffering, the same as ourselves. Based on that recognition, then you can generate bodhicitta so easily. And if we really want to practice Dharma that is genuine, then we need to put our thoughts in the right place, okay? So we have to be aware of what is going on in our minds right now, which comes through investigation. Are you investigate your thought or just your listening? So you have to invest, you have to check, you have to think what is going on in your mind. And you have to investigate, and that investigation can only be possible when there is awareness, when there is a mindfulness. One time the Buddha told Ananda, Buddha said, when you listen to the Dharma with a negative thought and conditioned mind, then the Dharma becomes negative and conditioned as well. That means if we are not aware of our motivation, as ordinary people, it's almost impossible not to have a thought that is based on a selfish mind, not to have thought that is conditioned, and not to have a thought that is influenced by distractions. So as ordinary people, we need to try to develop a positive thought, which is basically freedom from selfishness. And usually whatever we do in our daily life, it is based on a selfish mind and very personal. But when we think about genuine Dharma practice, we need to be aware and open our minds more. We need to sort of exchange ourselves with others and cultivate equanimity and compassion. That's very important. There is not a single living being in this world without suffering. And it is for their well-being that I'm going to practice the Dharma. Okay? That is how we correct our motivation. Once your motivation is established, then you try to relax and listen to the Dharma teachings with a concentrated mind, without distractions, without too much thinking. When you think too much, it makes your life miserable. So you have to stop. Think too much. Okay, that's very good. So you relax and then you listen. Now I'm going to start the teaching on advice for a dying practitioner. So if you have the text, please take a look. It says you will need to make preparations before the time comes to pass away. Okay, there are many aspects to this, but I will not go into too much detail here. Briefly then, this is what you should do as you approach the time of death. So today's topic is kind of like maybe uncomfortable, just to remind you that as a Westerners usually don't want to think about this kind of what do you call it, death and impermanence and this kind of thing. So, but it's very important. So before we talk about preparation of death, it is important to understand what is life, right? Because each and everyone has a life. But what is the purpose of life? And what does it really mean to be a human being? What is the main goal in this life? And how do we achieve that goal? All this, how how should we make this life meaningful? Okay, so all these questions about life, we have to investigate, we have to think carefully. When I say a meaningful life, what does that mean to you? We have to understand all these things. Otherwise, there is no reason to practice Dharma. And you spend so much time on it. So you have to think carefully and investigate why you want to practice Dharma. Why? Why you want to become a Buddhist and practice Dharma? Why you want to, spend a lot of time and just meditate? Why? So from a spiritual point of view, when we look at our lives, this current life is a result of our past life, and this life will be the cause of our future life. That's why we call it samsara, or khorwa in Tibetan, we say in Tibetan. It means, khorwa or samsara means, something that goes around, life after life, whether you believe it or not. That's what, samsara, khorwa means. It is motivated by ignorance, selfishness, aversion, so on and so forth. So our mind is always going to be confused when the mind is influenced by ignorance. So usually we are experiencing ourselves as a bundle of thoughts, emotions, memories, ideas, and permanence, and all of that together is what we call life. Maybe not, I don't know, maybe. From the Buddhist point of view, that is wrong perception, because that's not who we really are. When it comes to practice, we really don't know how to reduce these wrong perceptions of life and how to achieve a great life. And as a Buddhist practitioner, we say life is about love. Love is the action of bodhicitta and wisdom. But when we think about our lives, we can see that we are full of fear of death, fear of sickness, fear of getting old, fear of not living a successful life, fear of losing, fear of suffering. So many. Therefore, life is full of suffering. And, also included the definition of life, and the Buddhist teachings say, there are 4 characteristics: birth, old age, sickness, and death. So these are the definition of life in general Buddhism. Also, that there is nothing permanent in life is another truth that Buddha teaches, right? But if life is full of suffering and there is nothing permanent in life, then what is the point of living? What is the meaning of life to you, to us, you know? What is the meaningful life? Many people think meaningful life, it's have a great family, very rich, very famous, etc. So think that, you know, is that a meaningful life? We have to find these things out through an investigation of life. Everybody want a, you know, life that is meaningful, but what is mean by, like, when I say meaningful life to you, what is meaningful life? I'm not just saying these things. I really want you to go deep and investigate what is meaningful life to you. Have a great sort of job, great family, all this is, if you have that, is that what you call a meaningful life? It's up to you, right? You have to investigate. Because we have this very smart brain, mind, whatever you call it, wisdom. So we have to find out this thing. So I think the real way to look at your life is to simply observe, right? In our day-to-day life, we should try to get into the habit of mindfully doing things. It's so simple, you know. Mindfully talk, mindfully, you know, act. All this, do this, you know, it's very simple, but this is something that we should try to incorporate in our lives so that we can see what we're doing. In Buddhism, also, you know, life does not mean we will forever suffer, because we have the ability to take good care of our life. If, as you know, if we understand meaningful life, we will be able to cultivate kindness and compassion. We make our connections with others better and more sort of harmonious. Because Buddha said that the true meaning of life is helping others based on your capacity achieve freedom from suffering. Okay? So again, the point of living is, it's very simple. According to Buddhism, live kindly, live compassionately, you know, live without too much desire and selfishness, live very mindfully. That is basically the true meaning of life in Buddhism. But each of you may have different sort of definition of a meaningful life. So you have to find out. And you may have different goals for yourself, for your life. You may not believe in a life after this one. You may believe in life after life. You may not believe life in after life, you know. Many people just, I think, confused. When I, you know, first came to the United States, I heard that many people don't want to think about death, kind of ignore death, don't believe in future lives. Many people think future life means nothing. So people are not afraid of death. That's why, it's better, but I think Westerner society has a very limited understanding of what happens in the process of death and what happens after death and all of that. There are a lot of people who are not entirely sort of certain about future lives. But in the Buddhist view, we believe in future lives. That means we go from this life to next life. That means when there is a death, there is a birth. And so, therefore, we should be afraid of death if we are not prepared for it, right? If there is a future life and we kind of ignore it, no preparation, then if, there is a future life, then it's really, really not good if you are not thinking of. Milarepa said, first I went to the mountains, meditate from the fear of death. And then he said, but now I have seized the sort of stronghold of deathless. So you meditate on impermanence, about death and all of this, and somehow you just completely eliminate the fear of death. So we should prepare for it. That means we should not wait until death comes if you believe future life. That's why in the teaching, it says here, you will need to make up preparations before the time comes to pass away. Before, not the moment of death. We have to prepare for it. So we need to use our lives for the Dharma while we are full of life, healthy, and we are able to practice. We have this freedom, right? We have all the opportunities. So Buddhist teachings often say that if you wasted this precious life, there is no guarantee, and you will not easily find a human life again. So therefore, to attain human life is extremely fortunate, as usual, like we always say this. So we should really recognize that, we are so fortunate. That is why Shantandewa said that we have this body and we have this intelligent wisdom in mind. We need to use it as a tool to practice the Dharma, to bring benefit to everyone. That is meaning Buddhist, from the Buddhist perspective, meaningful life means we practice Dharma and then benefit to others. And Buddha also said in the sutras, he said that we can use this life to prepare for death, because death is the beginning of another chapter of life. According to Buddhism, death is just death. When you die, death is just the separation of body and mind. That's all. Separation, the separation, right? Death. Sangpo always say all the people are going on this earth, certainly leave, going to die. It's just, like all the rivers going to the ocean. Some rivers are very long, some are very short, some are broad, some are very narrow, but it doesn't matter. They all go to the ocean. Similarly, some people have long life, some have short life, some are happy life, some have miserable life, but all of us are headed for same sort of final destination of death. So since we will not stay in this world forever, we better make our preparations now. So that's the thing, right? So today we're going to talk all these preparations of death. Why you want to prepare for death? So that's why you have to first, in order to prepare for it, you have to first, you have to understand what is life, what is meaningful life. Are you do you believe in the future life? If not, then why you need to prepare for it? So now, how should we prepare for it? This is what we should do as we approach the time of death. The text says, now here, think to yourself again and again. Think to yourself again and again, meaning find out what is life mean to you. And then he said, whether death comes sooner or later, ultimately there is no alternative but to give up this body and all the possessions. This is just how it is for the world as a whole. Thinking, are you looking? You have to take a look, okay, the text, otherwise you are not going to remember. Thinking along this, what it says, these lines, sever completely the bounds of desire and attachment. Okay, this is the thing. Okay, this is very important. In Tibetan, whether death comes sooner or later, to give up this body and all possessions. This is just how it is for the world as a whole. Okay, this, right? So it's just inevitable. If that's the case, then what do we need to do? Completely the bounds of desire and attachment. Okay, this is another thing that you don't want to think about. I don't know. I don't know. This teaching is really beneficial or not, because you don't. Many people don't want to think about death. Many people don't want to think about attachment. But this is the essence. So it says completely. You have to like completely eliminate attachment, right? Chek hin. Chek means attachment. Hin means desire. What means completely what do you call it? Eliminate, abandoned, you know? So everything is impermanent. Yeah, we know that, right? And death is approaching for everyone. We know that, right? So when we leave, when we go, we want to make sure it will be good, and we don't want it to go badly, right? And we want to die without have any regrets. That means we should not think at that moment, you know, we should not think that, make sure that we don't have kind of thought. We should not think I didn't do anything to prepare for this moment and for the next life. Now, all these things we have done for the purpose of this worldly life will not help us at the moment of death. Doesn't matter you have a successful life, you have a wonderful family, you have millions of dollars, none of that help us in, you know, at the moment of death. Basically harmful. There is, you know, like our worldly life is just like the monkeys in the forest, eating delicious fruit, playing with each other. They're enjoying in the jungle. But there is, think about it, there is a big fire around the forest, and there is no way to escape. But the jungle monkeys have no idea what is going on around the jungle. They are in great danger, but they still don't have any preparation for their sort of future. So they all, you know, they don't see it, this fire coming. They just play, they just eat, they just, you know, so they're going to suffer from the fire eventually. There's no preparation for it. That's exactly same to us. In the forest of this world, we are busy with this worldly life, very busy, right? But you see the sickness, old age, and death are inevitable. They're just closer and closer, minute by minute to us, closer. And they're all around us in this life, but we don't know when death comes. And we still don't have enough Dharma practice. And we just still, you know, busy. And, you know, all this sort of, you know, worry, stress, you know, all this suffering. So in order to make sure that we don't leave this life with empty hands, we need to accomplish the practice. And if we can have some experience of practice before we die, such as reducing attachment and desire, developing bodhicitta. It's big difference. When I use reduce attachment, I never think you can, maybe I'm wrong, but completely abandon attachment, I don't think we can this life. Maybe you can. It depends on how you believe your life and all that. But I think we really can reduce attachment, desire, and certainly we can develop in bodhicitta and mindfulness, then at the time of death, we will happily live this life with satisfaction and without any regret. Now, the first preparation for death is, according to him, it says here, give up this body and possessions when death approaching. We are talking about mental sort of, this practice. When you give up body in possession when death approaching. So we need to think about how to, as I say, reduce attachment. When you think about death and impermanence, again, these are not very pleasant practice for, reducing attachment. Because people want to have attachment and desire for everything. So when Buddha left his family and tried to find out the truth of life, some people think that he abandoned his family. Because ordinary people are usually afraid of separation. So they think attachment to their family is important because then you're always with him, even though that's not true. People don't understand the real meaning of attachment. And some people also might think, Buddhists talk about these negative topics all the time, such as, renunciation, death and impermanence, etc. But there is a good reason to talk and to practice these things, because it encourages people to practice the Dharma and inspires people and gives them strength and points out the reality of things as they are. So when you hear this practice, you should not close the door by saying, I don't want to think about my attachment. Maybe you don't understand what is meaning of attachment. Just when we say like practice attachment, non-attachment, impermanence and renunciation, all this, people usually don't want to find out. The people are usually just afraid. People think this is negative. I don't want to go there. So but that's not a good idea. So people usually think, I don't want to meditate on death and permanence. It makes me uncomfortable and sad and all that. But that's a really not good idea, because sooner or later this will happen to you, right? Because they are part of our life. So you have to understand this situation, not just intellectually, but you have to meditate on. So you have to reduce attachment to this life, whether you apply Buddhist teachings or apply sort of different method that you like, whatever. So you have to, the first preparation of death is reduce attachment. Because when you are attached to something, then you have to examine it, because as you examine your attachment, you will understand the clinging to the state of attachment is the root of suffering. So when you have a strong sensation of attachment, you have to examine that again and then again and then again. Not try to give away that object or whatever, but you have to understand what is the problem of that attachment. When you understand the real meaning of attachment through the examination, then your sort of strength of desire has less power. And as the strength of your desire reduces, your attachment will naturally dissolve into love. So, think, why do we need to eliminate attachment? For example, if you are attached to people that you love, you have to be very, very careful, because according to the law of impermanence, sooner or later, something will happen, something will change. It's inevitable. But if you forget about these changeable things and impermanence, or if you don't want to think about it, when the time comes, you're going to lose them, then you will suffer so much, because you are not capable of recognizing the nature of impermanence, and you are afraid of separation. All this based on your selfishness. You are attached to these people who no longer exist after they died. Then you are sad, you are suffering from loneliness, and your mind is overwhelmed by attachment. So you have to investigate your own mind in order to see how deeply you are attached to this worldly life. And what prevents you from practicing the Dharma. Attachment to wealth, body, friends, so on and so forth. So as you clearly know, being attached to these things make you unable to engage in practice. I mean, it's clearly. And also, if you are strongly attached to something, you will do anything that directly or indirectly harm others in order to get what you are attached to. That can be the cause of not becoming a genuine Dharma practitioner. That's the big problem. So for this reason, Dodrupchen gives advice here not to be attached to anything when you are facing death. But think about that. If you don't prepare for it now, it will not work at the moment of death. Even though you understand, oh, I have to give up my attachment to my family, my possession, my friends, all of that. Now I'm going to die. You know that, but it doesn't work. Your mind is just can't do it because you have no preparation. You don't know how to reduce attachment. You never meditate on it. You never investigate. You never, prepare for it. So you have to think now. I mean, you means we all think to now and prepare. I mean, if, as I said, if you believe in rebirth, and a good state of mind at the time of death is very beneficial and very important. So I will talk more about attachment, okay? Now, I think we should think, we should, meditate. So when you meditate on attachment, first, think about your life. What does a meaningful life mean to each of you? As I said, because it means different things to different people. I think many people think, successful life, happy life, meaningful life means, as I said, you have a great family, job and all that kind of thing. And usually, as an ordinary person, of course, it's very important to have fun, enjoy your life, enjoy your family and your friends, and etc. It's very important. I'm not saying give up those things and instead of practice all the time. I'm not saying that, I like those things too, fun, enjoy, all that kind of things. But one question is, how do we do all of that, like have fun, enjoy, all of that without sort of too much attachment and selfishness? Maybe you think that there is no way to have fun and enjoy your life without attachment. Maybe you think there's no way. All of these things, enjoy, have fun, all these things just based on attachment. And when you reduce attachment, then there's nothing left, then you can't do this thing. Maybe you believe that because your attachment based on selfishness. Maybe you think that attachment based on love is good. So we don't have to reduce that kind of attachment. Maybe you think if the attachment is based on selfishness, it's not good. So we have to reduce that. Right? So you have to think, when you are attached to something, your attachment, whether attachment is based on love based on selfishness. I think that's very important to understand, sort of investigate, So you think, not necessarily all the attachment, you have to sort of reduce, it's not necessary. So many people think that, why do you think attachment with love is good, but attachment with selfish is bad? Why? So think deeply and find out what kind of life are you looking for? How do you make your life happy without too much depends on somebody else? People have usually sort of negative emotions and all of that, right? But others' negative emotion, it's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is make your life happy. That happiness is not depends on something else. Just you can make that happy. Maybe you do, maybe you think that it's impossible. But I don't know. So your life is everything. So how do you make it better? Or you can think, I'm talking about meditation here. So when you meditate, you have to think, find out your life. Are you satisfied with your life? Are you really happy with your life? What do you mean that happiness? So if you think about your life, I learned a lot of things from my life, a lot. I know how to act with the different people. I know how to act with the different cultures. The life is, if you really think about it, the life is the best sort of like book if you really pay attention to it, which means you can learn from it so much. You can develop the wisdom. But the point is, what kind of life do you want? What is your main goal? Do you have, I'm sure you need, at least you need one goal in this life. And you need to, how do you achieve that goal, right? Like, for example, I want to practice bodhicitta in this life. And I want to develop and generate bodhicitta. My goal is not reach enlightenment this life, but my goal is make sure that I have a genuine bodhicitta mind. So that's kind of, I'm giving you sort of example, that kind of goal. What is your goal? Main goal, and how do you achieve that goal? And are you working on it? All these kind of questions. And what's here, like, what do you think about your death? If you die now, for example, and if you believe in the future, believe rebirth, do you think you will be able to reborn again, like human life that has all these qualities? So that's I think very important, because if I die now, am I very confident because I already have preparations? I already prepare for it. Think about that. Or maybe you don't care about your death as long as you're happy right now. I mean, I know many people, they don't care about death. They want to have a happy life. So think all of these things, okay? And then investigate your life. Maybe you will find something that you need to focus on from this sort of investigation, meditation. Maybe you don't want to think about, maybe you don't want to practice on this kind of thing. So then just, relax. And I mean, you're coming here, so you're looking for something for sure. Usually, I cannot give you each and every, individuals here. I cannot satisfy you. I cannot give you the teachings that really suitable and you like. That's impossible, right? But I hope given this teaching, maybe some people will find something meaningful and something really that they need and they want to practice, I hope. I don't have that kind of expectation. My teaching will be beneficial and good for everyone. I don't have that kind of expectation. Some of you like my teaching, some of you don't. That's for sure. It's just natural, right? But if you don't want to hear this kind of things, reduce attachment or practice, preparations for death. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to. You can just instead, practice mindfulness, love and kindness, good bodhicitta, all of that. But if you really want to prepare and practice non-attachment, then you should first focus on your life, what kind of life you want. What is the meaningful life means to you? All these things, right? And then based on that, you can, you will find something, this is what I want. In order to achieve this kind of goal, then I need to focus on this practice. So you will maybe find something, right? I'm not responsible for your death, for your, reduce your emotions. I'm not. But, maybe all these teachings, the methods, instructions, maybe you can use something that then you can apply them and then you can sort of meditate on that. Maybe it's beneficial, maybe not. But each of us, like, if I want to reduce my attachment, it's my responsibility. Nothing has to do with you. And I need to find out that what kind of life I want, meaningful. So reflect on all that, okay? Maybe you have already main goal and you are working on it. Maybe you don't have, and maybe you can find something today. This is my main goal, no matter what, I want to achieve this goal. It's so important to me, So meditate on that, okay? Just to reflect and investigate, and don't worry about others and all that thing. You just focus on yourself, your life right now, this moment. What kind of life you have? Are you happy? Are you satisfied? Worldly and spiritually, And if not, how can you make it better? And then you find something, you make a commitment. From today, I'm going to focus on this and make my life better. And I want to achieve this goal. So from today, I will start and then keep going until reach that goal. So find out in this meditation, I'm going to stop here. Find out yourself, okay? Your life. Not worry about other things, your family, your whatever, this about yourself. Just reflect yourself, your emotions, and what kind of emotions make your life miserable, what kind of emotion, maybe attachment is really good for you. Then you don't have to do anything. Maybe it's really bad, but it's really difficult to think and reduce. Then you have to find a method and instructions that helps you to focus on reduce attachment. Maybe you think attachment is so important, I don't want to reduce, so that whatever, find something out. That's all. So let's say for 5 minutes, reflect on your life and all that questions, just investigate, right? Investigate and think about and find out, and okay, this is do something. You need one main goal, that's for sure. I'm not saying like, okay, this year I'm going there, make money, and this is my goal. I'm not saying that. In this life, what is the main goal that you really want to achieve? Find out. And then now we meditate on that, okay?